deal with airplane peanuts.
By now, everyone knows about Joe Rogan's comedy club in Austin, Texas, but Dave Chappelle's new club in Yellow Springs, Ohio is one of the best kept secrets in all of comedy. We just saw a show at Joe Rogan's comedy Mothership, and we saw a show here at Dave Chappelle's new club in Yellow Springs. And in this video, we're going to compare what makes these two clubs different and what they have in common. Before we get into our first-hand experiences at both these amazing venues, let's first take a look at how these two clubs stack up on paper. Starting off with the comedy Mothership, Joe Rogan's club officially opened their doors in Austin, Texas during the spring of 2023. The Mothership has two showrooms named Fat Man and Little Boy in reference to the uptick in UFO sightings around the world post-nuclear bombs. Fat Man is the big room seating around 240 people, while Little Boy can comfortably hold around 100. Both rooms at the Mothership have a curtain backdrop on stage and tables mixed in with the chairs. The Mothership Green Room is located on the second floor of the club and has a viewing balcony over the showroom, as well as a private tunnel that comedians can use to access backstage prior to their shows. Dave Chappelle's new comedy club, live from Yellow Springs, is brand new in 2024 and located about 20 minutes outside of Dayton, Ohio, in a town called Yellow Springs. While the Mothership currently sits in the old Ritz Theater, Chappelle renovated an old firehouse into his comedy club, which is just one room and holds around 200 people, with majority of the seating being folding chairs placed around the stage with no tables or wasted space. The stage has an all-brick backdrop, and comedians get to the stage by walking through the showroom from a door on the right side of the venue. There's a full DJ booth located on the back wall about 30 feet from the stage, and soon the club will have a full-service daytime restaurant attached. Right off the bat, the main thing that these two state-of-the-art comedy clubs have in common, besides being owned and operated by some of the biggest comedians in the world, has to be their security. Obviously, if you're as famous as Joe Rogan or Dave Chappelle and decide to open a brick-and-mortar location that everyone on Earth knows you'll be frequenting most nights, it makes sense that the security measures will be double or even triple that of a Funny Bone or a Laugh Factory.
He's back there getting stomped.
At the comedy Mothership, ex-Navy SEALs and MMA fighters guard the door while putting customers through metal detectors and pat-downs. Once entering the Mothership, however, security becomes an afterthought as the main focus is on the show. The security measures at Live from Yellow Springs were similar, although a bit more intense on almost every level. Upon arrival, you first sign a form saying that you will not record anything and are okay being on video, which may have only been because of the live Netflix taping that was happening the night we went, but after signing the form, it's time to empty your pockets for an initial pat-down, followed by a secondary metal detector wand down, and then finally a third pat-down for good measure before entering the venue. Once inside, security guards are seen posted up at every single door. I was able to count at least 8 different guys in suits and earpieced posted up during the show. The tight security obviously means no phones, which sucks for this video because there's no way for me to show you what it looks like inside, but hopefully sometime soon we'll get a drone tour of Chappelle's club similar to the one of the Mothership.
It used to be an actual firehouse. Having him come out and checking this out, and then he's like, dude, now I'm inspired.
Now to compare the actual show experiences, last week at the Mothership I saw Duncan Trussell and Friends, and at Yellow Springs we saw Bert Kreischer and Friends. It's almost pointless to compare the comedians and shows themselves, one because comedy is so subjective and everyone has different tastes, but also because Dave Chappelle hosted the show we saw in Yellow Springs and was on stage majority of the time, so that's not really fair to Duncan. But as far as the seating and actual proximity to the stage goes, I give that slight edge to Chappelle, just because of how closely we were all packed around the stage. I sat in the third row, and because there were no tables taking up any space, the entire show Dave Chappelle felt like he was less than 10 feet away from me. A completely surreal experience. All 3 times I've been to the Mothership, I've seen shows in the Fat Man, and although the room has superior decorations to Yellow Springs, it didn't have the same intimacy. Although I've never sat in the first 3 rows like we did in Yellow Springs or seen a show in the Little Boy. Live from Yellow Springs and the comedy Mothership have another thing in common, which is attached businesses that are open to the public without having to buy a ticket to a show. In Yellow Springs, it'll be in the form of a restaurant that's coming soon, and at the Mothership, it's Mitzi's Bar, named after legendary Comedy Store owner Mitzi Shore. Mitzi's is very small and the espresso martinis cost a pretty penny, but the vibe in there is so cool, it feels historic and important and is actually opened. So I gotta give that one to the Mothership. Another experience I was lucky enough to partake in at both venues is the purchasing of merch. Dave actually has his own merch store located a few blocks away from the club called the Chappelle store, and inside are dozens of different shirts, hoodies, and hats from previous tours and big time shows he's done over the years. The quality of Chappelle's merch is top notch. This hoodie is awesome, it's super thick, and the Comedy Mothership merch is a lot more basic of a selection and definitely not as important to them as the quality of the show experience. But their merch isn't bad, it's just a little thinner and cheaper than the stuff at Chappelle's place. Although the Comedy Mothership lighters are way better. By this point in the video, you've probably reached the conclusion that a direct comparison between these two venues located thousands of miles apart is not only impossible, but also completely unnecessary. These two clubs have totally different purposes and personalities, with Joe Rogan's place in Austin turning into the new Comedy Store with a goal to develop talent on a national scale, and Chappelle's club in Yellow Springs, Ohio being more of a diamond in the rough and a display of his power to create world-class entertainment far from a major scene.
Imagine that. Like, you can go see Dave Chappelle at any given night.
Like in his backyard.
What a great idea, though.
Yeah.
Like, he's Dave Chappelle. He could do that anywhere. Like, why not? Why not, like, build your own club and have the people come to you?
The main takeaway from visiting both these locations is overwhelmingly clear. Right now is an amazing time for comedy, with two of the most influential comics in the world laying out a blueprint on how to break free from the normal industry standards and typical way things are done. We have officially entered into a new era of comics owning clubs, designing them to perfection, and controlling all the variables inside their venues, from security to stage design. There's never been a better time to be a fan of comedy. The fact that you can go physically see comedy shows in buildings owned by millionaire comics is insane. And if you're unable to travel to these places, there's even YouTube channels like this one that have your back, keeping you in the comedy loop. All you have to do is click subscribe, which I gotta say, man, we did a lot of traveling to make this comparison video, and all we're asking for in exchange is you to click one button. I think that's a fair deal, but if you don't, if you're not ready to subscribe to WRLD after this video, please let me know in the comments a full list of the reasons why you're not clicking that button, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Oh, actually, one last thing about Dave Chappelle's new comedy club. We actually already released a full in-depth breakdown on the main channel about traveling to Yellow Springs and witnessing Dave Chappelle open up his new club. That video goes way deeper into some of the details surrounding the firehouse and reveals what Dave Chappelle said about the Mothership while on stage that night. If that sounds like a video you'd be interested in, feel free to check it out on the end screen right after this.
Of course they're gonna come to see Dave Chappelle.
It'll be a vacation destination, like your club is. People were from all over the world last night at Kill Tony.
But I don't know how many hotels they have in Yellow Springs. Probably
Build a hotel.
build a fucking hotel.
Yeah, dude, become the monopoly.
And the neighbor's gonna complain. This Dave Chappelle.
Kill the neighbors.
Kill the neighbors.
Yeah, who cares, Dave?
I like how you think immediately with the perfect answer.
Yeah.
That spot's gonna be. It's gonna be interesting to
Perfect
see more, if more comics start doing this, buying and opening clubs.
I love Joke World. He's the fucking man, dude. If y'all ain't fucking with Joke World, who are you fucking with? Joke World, can you please clip him saying that Leon is actually ugly, please?
No,
Joke World.
she's very hilarious. Clearly very pretty.